Hi, David.
Hi, Rosabelle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Just got to thinking earlier on. I was wondering if you could share with me and the listeners uh, what your first ever email address was.
No, I won't be doing that, but thank you for asking.
I was thinking about your first email address because the episode today, I think, is kind of about some deviance. And I was thinking, gosh, Roosevelt's first email is one of the most deviant things I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, I'm not going to say what the email is because it would ruin my reputation. But what I will say is that, sometimes people have an idea of Chinese parents. My parents are Singaporean Chinese. And my mum was like never like a tiger mum. She's so loving and supportive. And it's maybe like willfully, I don't want to say ignorant, but I mean, I don't know how to explain this behavior that she displayed, where I had a very extremely inappropriate email for a 13-year-old.
You did.
I might have even been 11, It was whenever email started. And she just gave it to all my relatives, like all my aunties and uncles, and were like, here's Rosabelle's email if you need it. I'm sure she was being sweet about it. Maybe she just didn't even know what it meant.
Remarkable. I mean, for anyone listening, and I guess I can't reveal what it was, but it was just foul. It was a foul email address.
It was like if you used a random email generator.
Yeah, and plugged it into a porn site.
Yeah, exactly. Like something super sexualized, also like gothic and evil.
I wonder what email addresses listeners are thinking of right now.
I would love to know. Maybe it can be like a Rumpelstiltskin show and, like whoever gets it wins a prize.
Now, the deviancy we're talking about on the show is a bit of a leap, or a hop, you could say. We're talking about train hoppers, people who illegally get drunk often and ride trains. And I'm wondering if you, as a devious person, Rosabelle, have ever hopped a train.
That's like when you're jumping on the top of it, eh?
You can be in it, you can be under it. It's just basically like being on there and using it to travel long distances, but not paying a ticket. You could be like under the undercarriage, you could be like in one of the engines, you could be on the roof. It's not necessarily like running up and down the top of the train being completely bonkers.
It's not like Mission Impossible. Yeah, okay. I have so much respect for someone who has the physical capability of not just falling off the train.
Same. I feel the same way.
I feel like I just immediately slip off.
I think I'd be dead in about 2 minutes.
Yeah. You'd think you could do it because you'd seen so many movies, You'd be like, yeah. That's how I feel about jumping a large distance, like between two roofs,
Yeah, I know. I often fantasize if I'm in a situation where I have to run and I think, could I make that jump? And I mean, the fact is you'd just plummet, wouldn't you?
Exactly. But you'd realize too late that the movies have sold you a lie, that everyone can jump from roof to roof or from train to train.
So true. I'm David Farrier, a New Zealander accidentally marooned in America, and I want to figure out what makes this country tick. Now, not too long ago, I found out that the United States of America really, really loves trains. The country's first train tracks were laid down in the 1820s, and since then, America has gone on to have the largest rail transport network in the world. Over 136,000 miles of train lines weaving their way across this giant country that I currently live in. Now, I'm going to admit here, full disclosure, I'm not a train guy. I have nothing against trains. I'm just not full of train facts and probably never will be. But I am really curious about a really specific thing in the world of trains. And with so much railroad action in America, it seemed like the perfect topic for Flightless Bird. I'm talking train hopping. I have so many questions about what it's like to illegally catch a ride on a random train. I want to know about the types of people doing it and why and where they ride exactly on the train and how dangerous it is. So in this episode, I meet a train hopper and question them endlessly about the whole thing. So prepare to catch a ride to God knows where and hopefully not lose any of your limbs in the process, because this is the train hopping episode. And also, good God, finally there's a reason for the train noises and our opening titles music.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
Toot toot.
Flightless, flightless, flightless bird touchdown in America. I'm a flightless bird touchdown in America.
So before we start, you need to tell me what this email address is.
Oh, do you have any ideas?
No guess. No.
Rosabelle is, as you can probably tell from hearing Rosabelle talk in our conversations over the last year or so, she's so put together. She's so smart.
Yeah.
She's pure. I would look at Rosabelle and think you're pure. When I heard what her email address when she was 11 years old was, I was shook.
It's not surprising. There is a little bit of edge to Rosabelle that...
there absolutely is. Yeah. There absolutely is. Any sort of guesses on what we're going down here?
No. Okay. But I think you should just reveal to everyone what it is.
She's 11, and her mum is handing this out to like all of her friends and family at hotmail.com. And what's crazy, it's like thought went into it. Like it's not random. It's like it's very funny.
She picked it?
She picked it. No, she was like, as an 11-year-old, what can be a little bit dark and gothic and a bit sexy? So Rosabelle's fine with you knowing.
Yes.
She just doesn't want the world knowing. And you can't reveal it.
I won't. But you did mention that if someone guesses it, that there could be a prize. So I feel like maybe we can give a couple little clues.
I think what the prize is, you get to do a Zoom call with Rosabelle, a one-on-one Zoom call, if you can correctly identify what her email address was. One clue, it's at hotmail.com.
That's the only clue you're giving?
That's the only clue. Email us flightlessbirdchat@gmail.com.
Or sound off in the comments.
Sound off in the comments. It's going to be a filthy comment section. Just horrendous.
All right, so clues that's sort of biblical.
It's biblical.
But not really.
Not really. Yeah, it's something you don't want your mum handing out to other mums.
No.
A diabolical thing to do.
Yeah. Biblical and sexual.
And sexual. And inappropriate for a kid. And also, she's not using it anymore because I was curious. She doesn't have the password. I wish she did because I might actually go to hotmail.com and try and like log into it.
Maybe try to create it at Gmail.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Right, yeah. So if anyone gets close enough, then
I'll hand out emails, details, and you can I'll set up a Zoom call. You can, like a free podcast with Rosabelle.
You're not going to be there though. No one's going to record it. It's
very weird for her. Yeah. I'll put it in a calendar. It's like, you got a Zoom coming up?
What you got to do though is tell her it's to catch up with you.
Yeah.
And then it'll just be someone.
And it'll be fine and normal. She won't be shocked at all. Also, thanks for anyone that has emailed in a video applying for the social media manager job. There's some awesome stuff there. If you're still wanting to do that, it's flightlessbirdchat@gmail.com. But yeah, it's been really cool hearing from some super talented listeners that are keen. So we've got to do the thing now of going through everyone that's applied and just give us a chance to do that. But thank you for submitting.
Well, the instructions for that again are subject line, Flightless Bird channel manager.
Yes, correct.
Make us a little video that says why you'd be good at running our YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, and a little bit about your experience in that world. And if you feel like a little bonus, what you're listening to at the moment in the world of podcasts and music, just so we can judge your taste, basically.
Yes. And must-haves for candidates, creative, organized, on top of shit.
Yeah, and like the show.
Yes, and like the show.
Yeah, what the show is. If you hate Flightless Bird, don't apply, because that would be a bad time for both of us.
Or maybe, if you've never heard the show, probably don't
do it. If your friends emailed you this job listing, probably don't bother. Yeah. Train hopping. Yes. Do you have any kind of thoughts on this world? Because it's something I got into thinking about this because someone got in touch with us ages ago about this. And I ended up writing about it for Webroom, and then the feedback to that, people had so many stories about this life, and people had either done it, they knew someone that had done it. And for me, it's almost the most terrifying thing I could think of doing.
I mean, train hopping just being jumping on like a train and hitchhiking essentially.
It's not like not buying a ticket and like jumping on the actual train. It's hiding in an empty carriage or like underneath the train. So it's dangerous because you're out in the elements.
Is it a real pain? Did you see that movie?
I loved A Real Pain.
Is that they didn't have a ticket and they were like dodging?
That's not train hopping.
No, okay.
That's just like trying to get away without buying a ticket.
Right.
That I could do, but I would still be terrified that the conductor was going to find me. I remember when I was, how old would I have been? I was at first year journalism school, so I would have been late teens. And I noticed that no one ever checked your ticket when you bought a ticket for the movies at our local. And so I just said to my friends, I was like, why don't we just not buy a ticket and just go in and watch the movie? So cue me and two friends looking the most guilty you could ever imagine, like probably like looking around like crazy. We walk into the cinema and of course they come in and check tickets. And I just felt stressed, distraught. I just got up and left.
I mean, that was the thing that I did as a teenager.
Just not buy a ticket and sneak in?
There were two things. You would movie hop, which I guess is fitting for this episode.
Movie hopped. It is fitting.
You buy a ticket, which like
less dangerous than train hopping.
When we were teenagers, every theater didn't have assigned seating.
Would you change movies halfway through? You'd watch a movie and just stay in the complex and go into another cinema?
Yeah, I would just stay like all day.
Yeah.
And just see 3-4 movies.
Did you ever get caught?
I don't think so. And then we had another friend. There was this movie theater at the mall. And he learned like the back route where you could like pry
you've talked about this guy.
You could pry the doors open.
He was like a little mole, like moling around the back alleys.
And he like, we went to the movies one night and we went to go buy tickets and he's like, no, we're not going to go buy tickets.
We're not doing that.
Just took us to this like hallway, opened the back door and walked in. That was a little more than I liked.
That was on the edge.
Yeah.
The idea of being caught stealing for me is terrifying, and it's not in me.
Yeah, authority is scary.
Yeah, like it is. I've had a lot of friends that would shoplift when they were kids, like whether it's like lollies or makeup or like little things. I would never go near it.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that either. I had an ex-girlfriend that liked to shoplift a lot.
I have a friend back in New Zealand that still shoplifts, like seals wine.
Rosabelle?
Yeah, it's Rosabelle. Not Rosabelle. But they are just like, supermarkets are like a monopoly. They're making so much money. If I can steal a bottle of wine when I'm in there, I'll pay for my groceries, but I'm taking the wine. And part of me kind of admires it.
Yeah, I had a friend, I remember going to like Walgreens and he had like a cut on his finger. And we went to like the pharmacy island and he just like opened up the box of Band-Aids, put one on and then like put the box back. And he was like,
kind of
fuck Walgreens as a corporation. Enough. I'm just going to do this.
The most I've ever stolen is like a grape from the supermarket. I'll just like pick a grape, but I always pretend, which I am doing often, is sampling the grape before I buy the bag of grapes. That's as badass as I get.
The weird thing I'm realizing right now, the Band-Aid guy and the movie theater guy were in a band together.
Yeah, that's quite funny. What a band of badass guys.
What a band of badass.
real naughty rock and rollers. Have you, like, as far as trains go, are you a train guy? Have you taken trains around America at all? It's something that I kind of want to do now at some point.
I love Darjeeling Limited. This isn't
my fave.
Not a popular opinion, but it's one of my favorite Wes Anderson movies.
That's wild.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But I respect your opinion.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a Life Aquatic.
I have the poster in my garage.
Yeah, I'm a Life Aquatic guy through and through.
But living in Chicago, we have a very great train system. So there were periods of my life where I was taking the train every day.
Yeah. So Chicago, you were more of a train guy than you were in LA.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you done any long distance, like gone to Nebraska or something?
So towards the end of COVID, when Natalie was pregnant with Vincent, we took Calvin on a train ride from LA to Oakland.
How long on a train was that?
Too long.
Because with a kid, that's a vibe.
He was a young kid too. He was like 4.
How do you entertain a 4-year-old on a train?
We got a like private room that had like bunk beds.
You could hang out.
That you could hang out and had like a private bathroom because this was still the like germs were
Let's
a
avoid
point of
germs as much
contention
as possible.
Still, but it was like we get a private room on a train and then an Airbnb that we go into. Like it's still safe. It was a really like beautiful train ride up the coast. It was the Coast Starlight train.
Because it's like a beautiful, slow, beautiful way to see the landscape that you don't see when you're on a freeway.
Yeah. You're like the ocean's right next to you for a good chunk of it. And then they have they have like a food car where you go to eat that has like a restaurant in it. And it's just like all glass on one side that you can look out and see everything.
What were the other passengers like? Did you like what?
We avoided.
You were just in you're shut
Yes.
off. You're trying to not get infected with
Yes.
COVID, and you're just like
Pretty
doing
much.
your thing.
Pretty much.
And Calvin is slowly going like a little bit stir crazy,
Yes.
running around the room.
We did that. The plan was to take it back, but we were like, we can't do this again in a week.
Yeah.
So we just rented a car and drove back. But it was great. I feel like without kids, I would do that again. And then I do have a friend who just did that trip from New York to the West Coast.
Oh, incredible. All the way across east to west.
But the most surprising thing that he told me was that there was a point during the trip where someone committed suicide
Oh, Christ.
in front of the train, not a passenger.
Different to what I was thinking, but still horrific.
The train had to stop.
Of course.
And they had to like clean up. And apparently it's not that uncommon that happens every once in a while on those long train
Yeah,
rides.
right. That's an incredibly rough thing to happen
Yeah.
during a ride. And they were made aware of like why they'd stopped kind
Yeah.
of thing.
That was the other thing about the train rides is I think it left like 4 hours late and we got in like super late. I don't think it almost ever runs on time.
Yeah, right. New Zealand has some beautiful, like, I've never done any of their like scenic train lines, but I feel that America would have surely some of the best. And as I talked to this train hopper for this episode, the whole time I was thinking, I think I want to take like some kind of big trip on a train and just meet people along the way, or maybe I'm idealizing the whole thing. But I know there's some people that are obsessed with trains. I'm not that guy, but I think maybe it could be a different way to see the country.
I also assumed train rides would be cheaper.
Oh, interesting.
This was about the same as a flight.
It's not like it was like an incredibly like cheaper way to travel.
It was like, let's save some money and take the train.
Yeah, but you're
instead.
paying for the sights and the experience
Yes.
and all that kind of thing.
It was more expensive than I expected, I will say.
Mm.
And there was another time I took a really beautiful train ride in Colorado, but this was more of just like a touristy. I think you left like the Pagosa Springs area and took a train to Telluride.
Was that good?
Yeah, it was awesome. I guess there's just different types of train rides. One are like for the scenic and others for the commute. Like in Chicago from the suburbs, we would take the train into the city for work at one point, and it's like a 45-minute train ride, and
You're right.
it's just through the suburbs, and it's nothing to write home about.
The only train I've taken in America was a train going from sort of where we are, Los Feliz, to downtown to watch a movie. And it was surprisingly fine and great.
Yeah.
But it wasn't exactly a scenic train experience. Stay tuned for more Flightless Bird. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Support for Flightless Bird comes from Rag & Bone. Now, we've all been there. Fall rolls around, you start digging through your closet for warmer clothes, and nothing feels quite right anymore because everything's kind of different. And those beat-up pants from college, yeah, probably time to retire them entirely. It's time to upgrade to Rag & Bone's infused denim.
I make a bad habit of getting a pair of jeans that I like how they fit, and I just wear them until they're no longer...
Oh, you'll wear them to death.
I'll wear them to death.
Well, look, if you also want some jeans that you're going to wear to death, then Rag & Bone is the thing for you. I mean, if you used to have to choose between jeans that look great and jeans that actually lasted, with Rag & Bone, you finally get both. Jeans that are built to move with you, hold their shape, and develop character over time. The wash is where the infused denim really shines. Each pair goes through an 8-step over-dye process, giving rich, layered tones and deep dimensional shades that look polished, yet effortless. And over time, the color and texture evolve, adding even more character with an authentic, lived-in touch. So if you like jeans and you like denim, then Rag & Bone is the place for you.
They're built with premium materials and craftsmanship. They're made to last. So if you're like me and like to wear jeans
these
over
are
and
the
over
ones.
again, these get better with wear. So you're not just upgrading your look today, you're leveling up your entire wardrobe for the long haul.
And Rag & Bone doesn't just make your new go-to denim. They perfected everything from buttery soft tees and elevated essentials like jackets and knits that pull your whole look together. It's premium wardrobe staples made to last and made to live in.
It's time to upgrade your denim with Rag & Bone. For a limited time, our listeners get 20% off their entire order with code BIRD at rag-bone.com.
That's 20% off at rag-bone.com with promo code BIRD. When they ask where you heard about them, please support our show and let them know that we sent you. Support for Flightless Bird comes from Calm. Now, if you're anything like me, you're going to feel that the year is now traveling way, way, way too fast. It's almost my birthday, Christmas Day, and that is approaching way too rapidly. So that whole where did the time go anxiety is real. It can leave you feeling scattered and behind on everything. Calm gives you permission to slow down even when everything else seems like it's speeding up.
The pressure to make the most of the final months of the year is definitely real. I think we're feeling it. We're really cramming as much as we can before the holidays.
We really are.
Things slow down a bit, so productivity has to uptick until then. And there's a lot of things out there telling us how to be better, be a better parent, be a better partner, be a better podcast host, better version of yourself.
That's true.
It's exhausting. And when you need to hit pause and reset, Calm is a great tool to release stress and find space to breathe, even on the busiest days.
Yeah, essentially Calm's the number one app for sleep and meditation, and it's here to help you feel better. So if you feel like you could do with some support, navigating life's ups and downs, get the relief you need with Calm sessions like guided meditations to help you work through anxiety and stress. There's also sleep stories and sleep meditations and calming music to help you drift off to sleep, which I use and is really good. And there's also grounding exercises to help you reset and relax when you're feeling overwhelmed by the whole life thing.
Yeah, I find Calm very helpful. Meditation in general, I like to do it before bed. A guided meditation where you can release your stress and everything that you're thinking about.
Especially, I think for us as well, we've got like a million things in our brains doing this work and also staring at screens all day.
Yes.
You need to listen and be calm.
Yeah, exactly. Calm your mind, change your life. Calm has an exclusive offer just for birdies. Get 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/bird.
This is really amazing value. So go to calm.com/bird for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. Calm.com/bird and tell Calm you heard about them from me.
So the train hopping situation is more trying to get free rides somewhere.
It's not paying, but the thing with train hopping that I learned from the stock is it's a lifestyle choice. So it's not just I want to get to that place. It's more of I want to drop out from society. I want to get very drunk and high, and I want to like just be off the grid, free roaming around America and seeing as much of it as I can when I'm not passed out from like too much booze. It's a vibe.
The movie Into the Wild, is he train hopping at any point in that? Because that is pretty much he's going off the grid. He wants to leave society and he's just...
He might have jumped a train at some point because there's always that thing, right? I feel like my main memory is like from Westerns, I feel like, from like older Westerns.
So, but it's separate from hitchhiking. You have hitchhiking and...
We have hitchhiking in
New Zealand.
Yeah, no, hitchhiking's a thing. And this actually, it's the train hopper I talked to, it's not in this episode, but he talked to me about, in more detail, about that being kind of a conduit to the train hopping. Like he did hitching first and that led into the train hopping.
So it's adjacent, but I feel like a hitchhiker's usually doing it to get from point A to point
they are.
B.
It's more of a goal. Train hopping is more like you sometimes don't even know where you're going. It's just like, we're going to go somewhere that's not here. Whereas hitchhiking, it's like, I want to get to New York.
But it's a gateway.
It's a gateway. One thing this guy told me about hitchhiking in America is that the people that pick you up are often a certain type of person. So it's like when you're a hitchhiker, part of the danger of it is like certain people will pick you up and they're going to be sometimes wonderful, but sometimes also deranged. Yeah, and like when you're in there and you see the door lock, sometimes you're like, I don't know about this. And so that's this whole other dynamic to it as well.
So have you ever hitchhiked?
I've never hitchhiked, and I feel maybe a bit embarrassed to say it, but I've never picked up a hitchhiker.
I've very rarely even seen a hitchhiker in America.
In New Zealand, I think because there's a lot of tourism and there's not that many main roads, you do see people that are obviously tourists. They've got a big backpack on and they're trying to get somewhere. My thing is like very selfishly, when I'm in the car, it's like the one time in my life when I am completely alone. And my nightmare is having to talk to someone that I don't know.
Let alone a stranger.
Well, yeah, it's like so I've never picked up a hitchhiker. There's also that inbuilt fear I have of getting
A murderer.
Or just someone who like endlessly punishes you with terrible conversation. But then at the same time, they're probably worried that I'm going to kill them as well. So it's like probably a mutual fear.
Yeah.
Have you hitchhiked in your life?
No. Is hitchhiking legal?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say boldly, without knowing for sure, that it is completely legal. Okay. Yeah, it's as long as you're not like walking on the wrong part of the road, like you're welcome to just be like, pick me up.
I feel like I was told as a kid that hitchhiking was not legal.
I'm going to Google it actually, because I'm talking from New Zealand where it's definitely legal.
I'm also talking from someone whose parent
We're
could
trying
have
to probably
very
put you
well
off.
made that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be on brand for my mom to have said that was illegal and it not be.
Yeah, Rob, if you go hitchhiking, you will be going directly to jail. Rob's mum. No, she just loves you. Okay. Hitchhiking is legal in 44 of the 50 states.
Is
Holy
Illinois
shit.
one of the places that's illegal?
The exceptions, and this is off Wikipedia, so, could be out of date. The exceptions being Nevada, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Utah, and Wyoming.
Illinois could have been hitchhiking.
I wonder
could have been hitchhiking
why
this whole time.
Less people being murdered or injured or like a safety thing.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Now I'm going to Google in New Zealand because I'd hate to tell everyone that it's like legal when it's actually completely the biggest crime you can commit. Hitchwiki.org, the place to learn about hitching. New Zealand is an extremely easy country for hitchhiking. There are a lot of friendly people. I'm obviously excluded from that because I never pick up hitchhikers. It's legal and comparatively safe.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. If it's New Zealand kind of has a small town feel to it.
There's less murder in New Zealand.
If there's less concern about safety, then I feel like getting a ride from a stranger is totally different.
Yeah, I mean, I would be much more likely to go hitchhiking in New Zealand than I would in America.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a great episode of Flightless Bird.
Hitchhiking across New Zealand. I mean, you're going to be there over the holidays.
It's not a bad idea. Do I spend my time in New Zealand
hitchhiking? But the goal has got to be get from like tip to tip.
Yeah, that's not Rosabel's email, by the way. It's just an idea for a podcast episode. It's not. It makes it sound like it is her email now. No. It wasn't tip to tip at hotmail.com.
But it could have. It could have been.
Could be. Okay. Do you have any like notions? We're about to hear from a train hopper.
Yeah.
I love this guy. He's one of the most charismatic people I feel like I've ever talked to.
Yeah.
Do you have any like preconceived notions of like what a train hopper is about or what they're into?
This is probably a prejudiced view.
That's fine. We're human. We're prejudiced about certain things.
And I'm assuming this is wrong. A lot of train hoppers would be unhoused, maybe mental health or drug addictions. Uh-huh. That's kind of my preconceived notion from what I've seen about train hoppers in TV shows and movies.
Okay. Well, let's find out if you're right.
My name's Simon, and I'm in Lawrence right now. I live in Kansas City.
Simon reached out to me about a year ago, and I've been trying to catch up with him ever since, but it's been hard to nail down a time. Or rather, it's been hard to nail down a place, because up until recently, he's tended to be on the move.
Right now, I'm actually looking for a house, because that's what I was doing earlier today. My brother is being very awesome and diversifying his investment portfolio into real estate, so I'm going to live in a house.
Which for you is quite a statement, considering what we're talking about in a way.
Oh my God. Yeah. If you would have told me when I was sleeping under bridges and hopping trains that one day I would live in a house that, I mean, I don't own, but like, it's like being a homeowner. Yeah. Fucking crazy, right?
At 38 years old, Simon is starting to settle down a little. But back when he was 26, he spent several years perfecting the art of train hopping, which is what I wanted to talk to him about. But to get to the train hopping, you have to learn about how he got to that point.
A lot of the story is going to involve drugs and alcohol.
Because you don't just decide to abandon society and ride trains for years for no reason.
So, I grew up in Lawrence, and Lawrence is like a cool little college town, Lawrence, Kansas. It's pretty cool. There's like a good music scene, and the university is great. They're really good at basketball, so people that like sports are into that. But it's also just cool. Like, it was cool living there because the energy that brought. But I went to school there, and then I went to college there, and I did graduate. Despite being like, I became a pretty bad alcoholic, pretty early in life. And then throughout college, it got kind of worse. But substance use for me, it started pretty young. Like, I smoked weed the first time when I was like 10, which is pretty crazy young. So that was like my intro drug. And then when I found out about alcohol when I was 15, I was like trying to quit weed. So then I was like, oh, alcohol, this is great. This is the opposite of weed. I actually want to like do stuff and talk to people rather than like weed where I just sit in my room and play video games. And then they call that polysubstance abuse, where you go from one to the other. And that pretty much became the trajectory in my life for a while.
We'll get to the train stuff soon, but I do find this culture of drinking quite interesting. New Zealand has a huge drinking problem. It's deeply embedded in the culture there and accepted. But until this point, I hadn't really thought about where it sat in American culture. And from what Simon said, it's sort of similar.
Alcohol, okay, when you grow up in a college town, alcoholism and drinking, it's just like second nature. I mean, I was, partying was that was like the whole reason you go to college, is to party. Like, I was going to college parties before I was in college. And then I was in college, and like, I live near the stadium. This is what really hit me off was I lived near the stadium, and there was game days that start at like 9 in the morning, and I open my back door and there's like people's parents doing beer bongs in the alley. Like, everyone's drinking, it's tailgating. And that was the first time I started drinking in the morning. And that was what really fucked me, because once you start doing that, you're like a real alcoholic, because you carry on the drunk from the night before. That got pretty bad. Then I started drinking almost every day, somehow still graduated. And really, a lot of the reason why I moved away from Lawrence was because I had kind of burnt most bridges there, being a shit show drunk, which is hard to do in a college town. But I was fucked off, like, beyond belief.
So that was the first element of the story that's about to follow: drinking, and lots of drinking. The second part was a girl.
So I had a friend who had moved to Portland, Oregon, and she was like, "It's great up here. Everyone's from the Midwest, and they're all like trying to reinvent themselves. It's so cool. Everyone's hipsters. It's great. You'll fit in fine." And so I moved up there and met some friends like really fast, and it was cool. But I don't know, after like maybe 9 months, I got kind of restless again, and I met this, really what ticked this whole thing off was I met this girl, right?
Yeah, always the way.
Every story, every chapter in the story of the movie starts with I met this girl. I met this girl. She had tattoos on her face. At the time, I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like, somebody with tattoos on their face, like, she like intimidated the fuck out of me. There were just 2 lines that went under her eyes, sort of subtle, almost like a weird like war paint type thing. Pretty cool in retrospect as far as face tats go.
Despite being intimidated, the pair got on and started sharing things about their lives.
I was like complaining about my job. I think I was delivering sandwiches for Jimmy John's on a bike, which is actually a pretty sweet gig because you're exercising all day. I was like expressing my restlessness and all this, and she was like, you can just like go out and hitchhike and ride trains and hold cardboard for money, and you don't have to work, and you can kind of just do whatever. She's like, I did it for like a year back in the day. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, ride trains? I was like, what, like a hobo? Like, what is this, the 1930s? Like, what the fuck? I was like, that's not real. Nobody does that.
I think this would probably be a lot of people's reactions. An NPR piece from February discusses train hopping, saying, the history of train hopping in the American imagination starts with hobos. Hobo culture was born out of economic necessity in post-Civil War America, when young men saw different parts of the country that they never knew existed. And a book called Riding the Rails also talks about the origins of train hopping. At the height of the Great Depression, 250,000 teenagers were roaming America. Some left home because they felt they were a burden to their families. Some fled home shattered by the shame of unemployment and poverty. Some left because it seemed like a great adventure. By summer 1932, the roving boy had become a fixture on the American landscape. The occasional girl was sighted too, most passing unrecognized in male garb. Riding the Rails is a rite of passage for a generation of young Americans which profoundly shaped their lives. Self-reliance, compassion, frugality, and a love of freedom and country are at the heart of the lessons they learned. They became known loosely as boxcar boys and girls. That was all back in the 30s, and it's never stopped. Except today, boxcar boys and girls are now generally called train hoppers.
When I say train hoppers, I'm really talking like traveling kids, and we always called them kids regardless of how old they were. But it's like, and I don't know if you have ever noticed the difference, but if you see these people in real life, they usually wear all black. They have like crazy tattoos. They might have a banjo or a guitar on them or a dog. They're homeless, but they have like a backpack, and they look a little different than regular homeless people.
As he says this, I realize that I've seen the type. I know exactly who he's talking about. I've traveled for this podcast a fair bit now, and I've walked through cities at odd hours and certainly by train yards, and I've spotted them.
Yeah, the main difference is that like homeless people typically stay in like a general area, whereas traveling kids are like, the whole thing is like you're always going somewhere.
And why do you say kids? Obviously, some of them will be younger, but is it more of an attitude? Like, they're not all going to be kids, right? Some of them are going to be 20s, 30s, 40s.
Yeah. I remember there was this one dude, he was like 45, and he was still doing it. Yeah. Like, I think that was the oldest train hopper traveling kid that I knew. Yeah, his name was Dirty. Yeah, and everybody has these goofy ass names. That's the other thing that's really funny about it. Everybody has these like monikers that are just like so absurd.
Weirdly, Simon didn't have a nickname. If anything, he was referred to as an oogle.
Oh yeah, I should have told you that term. Oogle. That's what that is a term that you can kind of call the traveling kids, oogles. And I would describe it like oogle is, it's sort of, if you are an oogle and you call another person an oogle, it's almost like a term of endearment. But like if you're not part of that and you say that, it's like an insult.
Ha.
I guess you could equate it to almost like the N-word.
Yeah, if you're part of that community, then it's friendly. If I'm going around yelling the N-word at that community, horrific.
Yeah. It's clearly like, yo, that's not like, no.
No, I'm with you. Okay, so you met this girl. She says, hey, you can just train hop. You can hold a piece of cardboard and people will give you money. What transitioned you from thinking, oh, that's kind of crazy, to, oh, I could try this? What was that gateway?
You know, I had spent so many years doing school, like, you know, because I went straight from high school to college. So, like, I was fucking off and partying, but also, like, that's so much of my whole entire life was basically just doing work, like, you know, like, and then being in the same place. And I really just, it sounded like an adventure. It was just like, that's fucking crazy. And like, not a lot of people do it. So it sounded cool.
The pair didn't start with train hopping. They started with hitchhiking. And as they hitched, they became more immersed in the world of travelers in general, the unhoused who are on the move. And what Simon saw, he liked. A lot.
The whole traveler community is alcoholism and drug use pretty much goes hand in hand with it. Like, that's part of the culture, is just drinking all the time. So it's perfect for an alcoholic like me. Like, I'm like, wait, you mean the entire culture, just that all they do is drink and do drugs? I'm like, fuck yeah.
In hindsight, his tattooed partner probably wasn't the greatest influence.
So we got back, and then she showed me heroin, and so we got strung out on heroin, and then we were like, after doing that for 4 months, we were like, fuck, we got to get out of here. Heroin sucks. And then, so our ticket to get out was to go travel again. We were living at this punk house in Portland, fucking sick ass punk house called the Heretic House. Shout out to the Heretic House if it still exists. We were there, met some other traveling kids, and we decided to go to Sugar Beet Harvest. And this is like really the moment that is like the fork in the road to like so much of my life, because it's so crazy that if we hadn't seen these kids, the trajectory of everything that happened afterwards would have never occurred, which that's kind of another thing that's really bizarre about traveling and kind of like makes it almost magical, is that there's moments like that where you think like if you didn't take that one ride to get to that other place, you wouldn't have gotten that other hitchhike that took you to that place, and all this shit would have never happened.
Stay tuned for more Flightless Bird. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Support for Flightless Bird comes from Wild Alaskan. Now, I don't know about you, but seafood is something that is really tricky to know where to get it from. You want it fresh, you want it tasty, and that's where Wild Alaskan comes in. It's the best way to get wild-caught, perfectly portioned, nutrient-dense seafood delivered directly to your front door. Trust me, you haven't tasted fish that's this good.
Yeah, I just had a doctor's checkup, and they told me I need more omega-3s.
I thought you were going to say you need more fish.
More fish.
Yeah,
well,
close enough.
essentially more fish.
Yeah.
I've never bought fish from a grocery store because
the worry is it's not going to be fresh.
I'm very intimidated by fish.
Yeah, I'm identical to you.
So Wild Alaskan is perfect for that because they just send you a box of this fish. It's 100% wild caught, never farmed fish. So there's no antibiotics, GMOs, or additives. Just clean, real fish that support healthy oceans and fishing communities.
And yeah, it's sustainably sourced. Wild caught from Alaska. Every order supports sustainable harvesting practices, and your membership delivers flexible shipments, expert tips, and truly feel-good seafood. And if you're not completely satisfied with your first box, Wild Alaskan Company will give you a full refund, no questions asked, no risk, just high-quality seafood.
Not all fish are the same. Get seafood you can trust. Go to wildalaskan.com/bird for $35 off your first box of premium wild-caught seafood.
That's wildalaskan.com/bird for $35 off your first order. Thanks to Wild Alaskan Company for sponsoring this episode. Support for Flightless Bird comes from Helix. Now, I think, Rob, Helix was maybe the first sponsor to come on board for the show.
They were the first sponsor, and you got a bed pretty early on while making this show.
And so, yeah, I'm happy to endlessly praise Helix. It's one of these sponsors that's just very easy to talk about. I sleep on their mattress, very good sleeps. I think I used to go to sleep in like an hour. I reckon I'm out in about 3 minutes.
Well, I mean, you came to America just kind of this broken man.
Yeah, I was a mess.
The beds in New Zealand, apparently.
Terrible beds.
You sleep on the floor.
Sleep on the floor. Well, Helix, not anymore. I'm on a big, comfy, midnight luxe mattress. I'm a side sleeper and a back sleeper, and it suits my sleep style perfectly. Yeah, I really love my mattress. I went and did a sleep quiz. Took about 30 seconds. I got matched with a mattress that then turned up to my front door. And ever since then, beautiful sleeps.
It's going to be really hard when you go back to New Zealand. You're going to have to order another Helix mattress.
I'm going to be
back home,
staying in Roosevelt's house. I'm not going to sleep. It's going to be awful. I'm thinking of ways I can get my Helix sleep mattress back to New Zealand for the 3 weeks I'm there.
Well, maybe Helix, if you're listening to this, send David another bed to New Zealand.
Yes, please. Oh, that's such a good idea.
Go to helixsleep.com/bird for 27% off site-wide.
That's helixsleep.com/bird for 27% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name, Flightless Bird, after checkout so they know we sent you.
helixsleep.com/bird.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
There's a metaphor in here somewhere about the 136,000 miles of train lines weaving their way across the US. And those lines led to Simon living in a punk house in Portland and meeting these kids who led him to the sugar beet harvest, where seasonal workers all converge to harvest fresh beets.
We were in Fargo. We fucked around there. I think we worked sugar beet harvest like one day, and then we said, fuck this, let's leave, which is something you can do when you're like homeless like that. So we left, and we met up with these other kids that had a car. So then we were rubber tramping, is what they call it, when traveling kids have a vehicle. And we drove down to Kansas City.
And it was in Kansas City that Simon hopped his very first train.
So the train yard, they have what's called the siding. And that's where when you enter a train yard, the train has to stop for clearance to get out of the train yard. And that's where you catch the train. So it's stopped typically. You want to catch it while it's stopped. It's kind of dangerous when it's moving. Although that's what they call catching on the fly. And that's like really cool. If you can do that, you're a bad motherfucker. The first train that I ever hopped, it was rainy. We were drinking by the train yard. I had blacked out and was like asleep next to the train.
One of the kids tapped him on his shoulder and roused him from his drunken slumber.
So this first train we got was called a Cadillac grainer, which is slang, but it's basically a grainer that has an extremely deep porch. Like I'm saying, this is so deep that you can sit like I'm sitting now with like 8 other people in it and you're completely unseen, which is extremely lucky for the first train also. When you're experienced, you know what cars are rideable. And you don't know, like when you just look at a train, it's hard to tell that any of them are really rideable. I think everybody pictures, when they picture train hopping, they picture a box car, correct? Like with the huge doors that are open.
That's all I think of.
That does happen sometimes. That is extremely fortunate if you get one of those, because they don't typically keep them open. But if you can get one of those, that is what's up. That's like the ride of all rides. But so otherwise, it's like the trains will have their cargo, and then they have like a little indention where the two trains connect is called the knuckle. And then right next to that, there's the train, and then there's like little indentions, and it's called the porch. And on certain trains, like there's a bigger porch and a safer porch.
Anyway, on Simon's first train, they'd gotten a grainer with an extremely deep porch.
But we soon found out our luck was totally fucked, because the train went, we thought we were going south to like an actual city, but the train just went to this bumfuck place called Parsons, Kansas, which is like nothing. It's like this tiny little, bumfuck Kansas town. When you think of Kansas, like that's the town, like nothing there. And it stops off in this like basically a field. It's just like sighted off in this field. It was definitely exciting and scary, but like totally cool. I got so lucky with the people that I got linked up with, because they're not all good people. Like the culture is pretty violent, or at least it was when I was doing it. And you hear all these stories of people who will like take new freshies on the road and then just like beat their ass and leave them for no reason, like weird shit like that.
And just like that, Simon had become a train hopper. He was addicted. It was more exciting than hitching, more chaotic than rubber tramping. Simon was unhoused, and he was also really happy. How did you get money? Was it like cardboard signs and like sort of asking for money? Like, or was it like dealing drugs? Like, how do you make money for 2 years when you're needing to get food and that kind of stuff?
They call it flying a sign, and you've seen it. People with cardboard. So there's a total art to doing that. And yeah, and especially when you're traveling, the advantage you have over people that do it in the same city is that you're not recognized. And you go to places where there aren't a lot of homeless people. Like flying a cardboard sign in a major city with a bunch of other homeless people is not good money. Like you won't make shit. But if you're traveling and you happen to stop by Parsons, Kansas, and you go to an intersection or an on-ramp, and you just say, your sign just says, traveling broke and hungry, which is the old standby that we used. People go, oh, you're traveling. They go, oh, that's kind of neat. That you're not just a bum, you're traveling. That's kind of cool. They give you money. And when you're an alcoholic and all you need is a handle of vodka, which is like $15 maybe. I mean, that'll get four people pretty drunk. So it's pretty easy to survive. And getting food is no problem. Like, if you write traveling broken hungry, you'll get fed so fast.
I suppose this is a reminder of one of the really good aspects of America, or rather, Americans.
That's one thing it's never really hard to eat in America when you're homeless. Because anybody can give you food, because everybody knows that. Everybody can understand that. Like, hunger is just like this human thing that everyone experiences. So, yeah, you get food really easily. But money, I mean, there were times where we would be in a weird city, and that's the worst. You go to a big city and you can't make money, then you're fucked and you're going through alcohol withdrawal. But other than that, man, it was pretty easy to get money to stay happy.
One thing I'm really aware of is that I don't want to glamorize all this. And Simon, believe it or not, doesn't want to either. So to be clear, train hopping is very, very illegal. And as Simon knows all too well, it's really dangerous.
Well, the scariest thing for me is I fell off of a train while it was moving and fell in between it, which was fucking crazy. We were hopping out of Lafayette, I think was where it was. Anyways, it was really weird because I was wearing this one like motorcycle glove that I had stolen from a dollar store before, but just one, right? And I was going from one train to the other, like crossing from ladder to ladder. And when you do that, you have to stand on one ladder, and then you have to reach all the way over and grab the other one, and then step your foot over. And while
this
it's
is Mission
moving,
Impossible shit.
It's fucking stupid, really. In retrospect, it's so dumb. And so we were actually in the engine. So you can ride those, the engines. They put them on the back, and there's nobody in them. So we were on that, and I was climbing on the roof and shit. And I was climbing from one to the other. And sometimes when trains are moving, they do this thing where like they jolt, and it's like this thing where they have to like, I don't know the exact physics of it, but basically it jolts down each train car. Like, those little balls that you drop and it hits one and it does the other? It's sort of like that, but on like a really huge scale. And so by like the third or fourth time I was crossing, it did that jolt thing, and I flew and hit my eyebrow coming down, fell in between the train, and with my right hand, I caught myself in what's called the knuckle, where the two trains connect. And so I'm like this, the train's moving this way, I'm holding on with one arm, and my feet are getting dragged underneath the train, hitting the railroad ties. Like, my heels are bouncing off of it. And for some fucking reason, I'm wearing this one glove, right? And so I actually have a little bit of grip on the flat surface, which is up there. And, I pull myself up and climb up and fucking cheated death, basically. It's crazy.
Another of those moments you talked about earlier where like this really weird decision to steal one glove ends up saving your life, right?
I mean, why was I wearing one glove anyways? That's so fucking weird.
13 train hoppers have died in the US so far. And again, this is the disclaimer bit of the episode. Train hop at your own very, very, very high risk.
I definitely saw a girl get her foot crushed between two things, the knuckle. We were in a train yard and she was ahead of us, and I guess when she was climbing over, her foot was like in between two of them, and the train like came alive and then connected. Yeah, that was pretty gnarly.
And that's the catch-22, right? It's the danger that helps keep the whole thing appealing.
Everybody's so fucked up so often, and like also I think what adds to it is that like it is fun and great and awesome and you're free, but also you are homeless, you are sleeping outside, it is stressful, and so people I think have a lot of like built up like rage inside of them, and I think in general it's just a lot of times attracts violent people also. And yeah, because everyone's on edge. But yeah, so throughout my time being a traveling person, I got beat up a lot of times. I got stitches. I got stabbed one time.
Who stabbed you?
This was actually my friend.
Your friend stabbed you?
Yeah. Yeah, we're not friends anymore.
Wait, what happened? You can't just say your friend stabbed you with no reason.
We were both alcoholics, drinking a lot, and I guess this is what I was told because I was blackout drunk. Apparently, we were talking like we were gonna fight. I stood up to fight him. I came at him, and he just stuck me 2 times in the leg instead of fighting me. Which, in retrospect, it's kind of bullshit because I'm not even good at fighting.
When you are in a knife fight like that and you're stabbed, where do you go to patch yourself up?
So he drove me to the hospital.
It's a good friend. There's something I want to address at this point, and it's how whimsical many of these stories sound when Simon tells them. Part of this, I think, is just due to his storytelling ability, but I wonder if it speaks to something larger about the train hopping scene. Because it's a scene built on riding these giant vessels that represent the American dream of freedom and exploration, the classic American story. And I realize these kids traveling these vast distances are forging and telling their own stories along the way. Many of these stories are violent, and they're also objectively compelling. I mean, the Bible is the most popular book of all time, and it contains some of the most violent stories you'll ever read. I think of that moment in 2 Kings chapter 2, verses 23 to 24, where 2 bears maul 42 children just because they mocked some guy's bald head. I digress here, but my point is that violent stories make for stories that get told and retold, eventually turning into lore. And I think so much of that plays into the stories told by train hoppers.
A lot of traveling and the train riding community, it's all about like you're sitting around waiting for the train so often that all you do is you talk stories about other traveling kids, other oogles. This was a huge story back when I was riding, and so the story goes like this. There's 2 guys on a train. One of them gets pushed off of the train while moving. He falls, busts his teeth, half his teeth get knocked out on the rocks or the train tracks or whatever. He crawls on his elbows 5 miles or 7 miles. We don't really know how long it was because by the time dude tells the story, it's like probably exaggerated. Either way, he got fucked up allegedly by this one dude, and he crawls back to town or whatever. And this guy who gets kicked off the train, he's kind of like a big deal in the train riding community. Everybody knows him, right? He's fucking pissed. And so he puts the word out that this guy who kicked him off the train did this to him, fucked his teeth up, and they got him. And so they get the guy over, and they're like, the dude sees him and he's like, I want my teeth back. And so apparently he had a mag light and a pair of pliers, and he's like, I need my teeth back. And he had lost from here to back here.
Simon opens his mouth and gestures to half of his back teeth.
A shit ton of teeth. Apparently, dude pulled one of them, and every time he would pull it and cry, he would smack him in the head with the mag light. I mean, this is like fucking brutal shit.
It's like something out of American History X or Pulp Fiction. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't, but I tend to think it probably did. And like all depraved stories, it had a depraved twist.
And then later I was dating a girl who actually talked to the dude who had his teeth pulled, and he said that he didn't really even push the guy off the train, that he just fell. And like, it's so fucked up. But anyways, that's an example of a story that I had heard from so many people that it was just like part of the lore of traveling. It was like, oh, you heard that shit about Dice and Scarecrow? Like, yeah, fuck yeah. And like, everybody knew it.
Again with the nicknames. In this case, Dice was the one who was either kicked off or probably just fell off the train, and Scarecrow was the one that pulled out Dice's teeth in retribution.
It's funny what happened to that kid that did that had dude pull his teeth out. He got shot in he got his leg and his arm cut off by a train. Then a year later, he got shot in the spine, and now he's crippled from the neck down.
My God, it's so intense, isn't it? Like, there's moments where I think this is kind of whimsical and otherworldly, and you're living outside of society. It's also fucking brutal and dangerous.
Yeah, and so the whole thing is this weird dichotomy of like, you're free and everything's cool, but then you're facing like that at any moment because you don't know who somebody is, or you don't know if somebody's going to be especially crazy when they're drunk. Like, there are people that get murdered, and also the life expectancy in general of these people. Like, I knew so many people that have died, like, that I had rode trains with and that I had hung out with. I never really like acted like I was, you know, like a super duper hardcore train rider, and I think that was refreshing for a lot of the people that I met, because with any subculture, you know how there's always that element of like people wanting to not be posers, like that whole thing. Like, so a lot of people would try really hard to be like, I'm fucking hardcore train rider, but like I was just kind of like stoked that I could get drunk all day and party with people, so I was just like, yeah, whatever.
Simon rode on and off for several years. He's been to every state except for 5. He says most train hoppers are white, and there tend to be way more men than women in the scene. And in amongst the alcoholism, drugs, and violence, there's beauty too.
This one time we were in California and we were riding a train and we were going north, and we saw it was winding through the mountains like really slow. It's like mountain, you know, California, you're in California. Yeah. Like very mountainous, and it's creeping along this mountain, and we look over and we see an old train that had fallen off of the mountain and was just this skeletal old train dead. And then it was like Mount Shasta or whatever in the backdrop. It was so fucking beautiful. It was like the coolest thing, like straight out of a movie. That was probably the prettiest moment.
When did you know it was time to stop this particular life? Like, was there a moment, or was it a slow build?
Well, it would usually get to where it would just get really intense, and like I would suffer like another like serious injury or something, and then I'd have to recover. Usually my brother would come to my aid and be like, hey, come back and chill out, because like, you know, he doesn't want me to die and shit.
You've got a good brother. You've got a really good brother.
Oh, dude, I would be dead if it wasn't for him. Like, he put me through rehab multiple times.
Simon is 38 now. He has a couple of kids. All this is about a decade behind him. Looking back on this, you know, you're about to move into a house with your brother. You know, you have kids and responsibilities. You did something that like a lot of people don't do, which is kind of step outside of society entirely, and not just step outside it, but in a really unique way. Has it sort of colored your perception of America and the way things are here? Or was that like a time in your life that was this really insane time, and now it's just this thing that's entirely behind you? Or does that like stick with you?
That's a good question. Yeah, it does stick with me, because like when you are homeless like that, you're basically deciding to be like the bottom of society. Like, and I was willingly deciding to do that. And so you see the absolute best and absolute worst in humanity. And, you know, there were moments where like you get the most insane kindness that is just from the bottom of people's hearts. And then there's moments that are just so painfully cruel that you just wonder, like, how the fuck do people do this?
Yeah, you see every aspect of humanity like in overdrive, basically. And with that in mind, and thinking of what he talked about earlier, from the adventure to the violence to the beauty and camaraderie, I wonder if he'd ever consider returning to the old life. You see a train go by, do you ever get tempted to go, oh, fuck it, I'm escaping the responsibilities of life again, and I'm off?
Dude, when I drove here today from Kansas City, I drove under a train bridge, and I saw 2 trains stopped, and I looked up and peeped to see if any one of them were rideable. And I was like, yeah, damn, this would be nice right now. But Yeah, and I do always think about it. I could just like take 5 days of PTO from my job and go do it. I've thought about it. I was thinking about doing it with my friend who I still stay in contact with, but we were talking about it, and like part of the part of what made it cool was that we didn't have money and we didn't have anything. So like I feel like it would be weird to go into it with money, because then it's like, what would the struggle be? I guess just riding the trains would be fun, but
Yeah, but knowing you've got that exit somehow takes the fun or excitement out of it.
sort of, yeah, because it's not as much of an adventure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. Yeah, I probably will do it again before I die, just for fun.
After reflecting on everything he's told me about all the death and near-death experiences riding trains, that last line strikes me as kind of fitting. I probably will do it again before I die. Said with zero irony, just a love for the incredibly dangerous and incredibly American pastime of train hopping.
Train hopping.
Yeah, it's funny. I was saying to you this while we were listening to the doc, but Rosabelle is working on a project, and I was talking with a few other people about how Americans in particular are just so good at telling stories. Like New Zealand we struggle to tell a story.
You're telling me.
Fuck you. We're not natural storytellers. Like we're told to not center yourself in things, and we don't learn the rhythms of storytelling.
Americans love telling
They
stories.
love it.
Yeah.
And they tell things in such a compelling order. And so, yeah, I talked to him for like an hour, and I was just like, everything you say is sort of amazing. And the thing that I kind of got dragged into with him and listening back to that, it was like, it's this balance of like, he tells everything in such a whimsical way that I'm kind of like, this sounds amazing.
Yeah, glorifying
but everything about it is dark. Like it's riddled with addiction and drugs and violence, but the way he tells it, you can almost, part of you goes, this is exciting.
Well, it feels very like Peter Pan and the Kids That Never Grow Up mixed with
no, you're completely
drugs and
right.
alcohol.
And that's like, it's what he was saying, how
Rufio's group of kids that he has.
And no, that's what he said. Like they call themselves kids. And he's like, the oldest kid we had in the crew was like 45. And it's this whimsical thing, right? Where like, I'm not going to take part in all this other shit you have to do, like taxes and earning money and raising kids. I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, there's some like freedom and escape to it all.
And then he'd just casually mention, like, in a very casual way, I'd get beaten up again, or my brother would have to, or stabbed, or my brother would have to put me in rehab. And then you go, this is actually I wouldn't survive for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's a lot darker and more serious than the stories regaling it.
Completely.
Yeah.
And I feel like what you said at the beginning of your ideas about the scene are completely accurate. It is a lot of drugs and alcoholism and, as he said, hobos and homelessness, like in his words.
Well, so yeah, he was talking about drinking and drinking culture in America. And I have found, I don't know if you've noticed this, drinking cultures are kind of different depending on which part of America you are in.
Okay.
Because like Chicago definitely has a drinking culture to it.
Right. Like you go out to get drunk.
Much different than LA. Like people in Chicago drink a lot. Drink a lot. We've got like 4 a.m. bars there. Like, you know which ones are open that won't be closing, that you can go and keep drinking.
No, in LA, I feel like my experience here is that people drink a lot less than New Zealand. LA feels like it's more, maybe it's more of that we're healthy, but people they're more likely to be high on like weed or mushrooms or something than blackout drunk. I've drunk a lot at times, but in New Zealand, you do it. That's your main kind of form of what you do on a night out. And certainly in student culture, it's what you do at university cities. Like you will get drunk. And that's how you meet people. Like a lot of people hook up because they're too shy to date. They'll get drunk and they'll meet someone. And that's how a lot of New Zealanders get together. I'm doing massive stereotypes here. And it's not good. It's like it's bad. And alcohol is very openly sold and marketed in supermarkets, and it's very normalized, and we get drunk.
College towns are also very much that too.
Which is what he was talking about, this idea, and that's how he got into it.
in Chicago, you knew that like DeKalb, where Northern University was, like that's a heavy. It's fully different culture of drinking there too. And there are these little pockets kind of around at least the Midwest.
It is wild to me that I think in America and New Zealand, alcohol is marketed as being like fun and good and normal, and it's poison.
Yeah.
Like it's poison, and it's wild how legal it is. And that was what sent him down this like rabbit hole of an insane 2 years, which he doesn't regret, but I think certainly looks back and regrets elements of what happened over that time.
Right. He mentioned Jimmy John's.
Oh, tell me about this.
Have you ever been to Jimmy John's?
No, he said he was a sandwich delivery guy for Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's is like another chain. You got Subway, Quiznos, Jimmy John's.
Where does it stack up in the sandwiches of America?
I actually like Jimmy John's.
Okay.
Freaky Fast is
What?
was their slogan at one point.
Fuck are you talking about? What does that even
like
mean?
How fast they would make it and then could deliver
freaky
it.
fast, right?
Freaky fast.
We get the sandwich so quickly.
Yes. Allegedly, I think there's some problematic stuff with the owner of Jimmy John's being
seems to be the case with almost every chain origin story.
Big game hunter.
Yeah.
But they're maybe franchised, so I don't know. I don't know the specifics of that.
It's not all roses in Jimmy John's land.
Correct.
Okay.
But it's very distinct, different types of sandwiches between like Subway and Quiznos and Jimmy John's and Potbelly.
Is it more of a sort of cheesy, meaty thing?
No, I like the bread. They're
bread?
like slimmer.
Less
I
bready?
want to think healthier, but I don't. I doubt it is actually healthier.
But you feel it is. You feel it's a healthier option than some sandwiches. Hey, pick a side. Pick a side. Is it healthy
I feel like
or
it
not?
is, but I know it's not. Is my answer.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not.
Definitely not. But it is not like Potbellies is like very loaded with everything, and like Subway too.
Mm-hmm. Semi back on topic, but
Yes.
I was looking on Wikipedia, train surfing injuries and death, and obviously train surfing isn't train jumping. It's more of a we're going to jump and be lunatics on the tops of trains. But I was just curious about the numbers, and Brazil, 100 deaths total, whereas America is listed as only 13 deaths. So it's not like, while America has a shit ton of trains, the deaths from people fucking around on trains is much less than some other country. Ukraine, 16. South Africa, 19 deaths. Yeah, Brazil, though, is insane. 100 deaths. That's just out of control. Germany, 18 deaths from trains.
Do you know what happens if you get caught train hopping? Like, what's the consequence?
Good question. I believe it is like a hefty fine.
But if these are all homeless people,
this is a good question.
like, that's not getting prioritized to be paid.
No, completely. So is it a jail term? I'm going to have a little look here. Train hopping. And I imagine it's like hitchhiking. It's different in different states. Let's go to the Reddit, the most accurate place you can possibly go to. Going on this Reddit thread, it is a nightmare of differences between states and places. Yeah, criminal trespassing, prosecuted as a misdemeanor. You can face jail sentences potentially, or a very hefty fine.
Got it.
I got my first fine in America last week.
Oh, a Joshua Tree?
I was in Joshua Tree, and yeah, I ran a red light. I just was an idiot. There was no traffic. I looked, there was no traffic coming. I saw a green somewhere, but I think it was a red arrow. I just turned, and instantly...
It was a right turn?
It was a left turn.
Oh,
so I was
turn,
traveling
yeah.
across...
That's where they get you.
Yeah. So, I mean, so the lights came on, and I was like, what is happening? I got pulled over, and she said, why did you run that red? And I just had to say, I don't know. Like, I'm just probably an idiot. Now I have a fine that is incredibly, weirdly difficult to pay. Like in New Zealand, you go to a specific website and pay it. My fine isn't even in the system yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, probably quite a... This is an example of a New Zealander not being able to tell a compelling story right here. My point is, I got my first traffic ticket.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much. America, this is something I was kind of curious to get into, but I didn't. America loves songs about trains.
Like the Flightless Bird theme song?
Like the famous Flightless Bird theme song. Peace Train, Cat Stevens. You're a fan of his. Apparently a famous song about trains. Crazy Train, Ozzy Osbourne, rest in peace. Girl on a Train by Skizzy Mars. Never heard of them. Have you heard of them?
Yes.
Okay. Long Train Runnin', Doobie Brothers. Macklemore apparently had a song called The Train.
There's also Train.
The band.
The band.
Were they named after like the joy of the train?
Probably.
I
would imagine.
It's not a great name, is it? Train.
I mean,
or
it's the best name.
The best name ever. Aerosmith. Train Kept a Rollin'. Trainwreck by Banks. I don't even know who Banks is. Midnight Train to Memphis. Chris Stapleton. Blink 182. Last Train Home. From the album California.
Feist has a song called Train Song.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
There's so many train songs. What's your favorite train song? flightlessbirdchat@gmail.com.
Yeah, let us know.
Let us know. I guess my point being, trains really are like deep in this country's soul.
Trains are not only American, but very American.
They're very American. Would you train hop with me? Would you go on the road with me for a week? Say to Natalie, I'm going to go train hopping with Dave for a week. I'll be back.
I mean, we can call it train hopping, but we'd be purchasing tickets, right?
We're bad to the bone.
I don't think I'm not willing to commit a misdemeanor with you.
Yeah.
But
I just need to not get caught.
I'd take a train ride.
Okay. I reckon with Simon, with our guide, a sober version of Simon by our side, we might be okay. Feedback. A lot of feedback to the homecoming episode. Sometimes I kind of sort of get a bit used to America and how things are, but I don't think I like loudly said how different America is and how batshit it is. Someone on the Flightless Bird Reddit thread said, what? Like David's never been to seen a marching band? And I went and commented like, no, I haven't. And she's like, so what? Like they replied like, what about parades? As if you can't have a parade without a marching band.
You can't.
You absolutely can.
No, absolutely not.
Here
David.
we go.
No.
So like, I'm sure in New Zealand there are some marching bands, but our parades, there aren't marching bands. And it's like,
I mean, you're missing out.
Clearly, Dylan, my friend from New Zealand, wrote to me and he kind of captured my thoughts on this. He said the homecoming thing was fascinating because it feels like it's lacking so much more in some sort of larger series around the insanity of American schools. Every aspect of the thing is alien. Class presidents, activities directors, the whole freshman, sophomore, junior, senior thing, the very idea of a high school stadium, even the idea of referring to a single year cohort as a class, let alone class of 2026 or whatever year they graduate from as soon as they enter high school. All of it, batshit bananas.
I would think the class thing is not uniquely American.
No, but it's not in New Zealand.
Yeah, not New Zealand.
Like,
that
this
also
shit's
seems
crazy.
A little European to me.
My point is, like, even when I was talking to, like, the artistic director or whatever, the activities director, I didn't acknowledge in the episode how weird that is. Like, what the hell is that job? Like, that doesn't exist in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I guess my point being, sometimes I forget to get across how different this shit is to what we have in New Zealand. All right, Kyle wrote in regards to the voting process, which I didn't touch on highly in the episode. I can only speak for the American high school that I taught at for 10 years, but this is how I understand it. At our school, different sports and clubs can nominate students to be on the homecoming court. Again, that's weird. A homecoming court? Is that weird to you?
Yeah.
So odd. So there would be one football player, one boys basketball, one girls basketball, one boy from band, one girl from band, etc. There was also a process for 2 students per grade to be nominated, even if they're not in a club or sport, also done by peers. And then every student in the school has the option to vote for who they want to be the homecoming king and queen once the entire court is announced. Then they announce the king at a prep rally during school hours and the queen at a halftime moment in the football game.
Pep rallies are weird. I do remember pep rallies. It was like an assembly. Do you know what an assembly is?
We had an assembly. All the kids
all the grades would have to come. And I must have been around homecoming. It was like a pep rally for the game where.
And what is a pep rally?
I don't
is
really
it a dance?
know. No,
a speech.
It is like a speech, and like cheerleaders I think are doing stuff, and there's maybe a dance.
They hype you.
Yeah, it's hype, and there's like probably a school song that gets sung.
Again, school song.
Yeah.
What is a school song? We don't have school songs.
Yeah.
What? Like, we love our school. Boop, 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 boop.
Well, you have school mascots or no?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, all this is crazy.
Yeah, we were the Vikings.
Okay.
So there was probably some sort of chant.
We are the Vikings. Bop, bop, bop.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think that was it.
Incredible. No, it's like once you pick at a little thing, you realize there's all these other things.
It's just exhausting, honestly. As I was saying all of this, I was like, I shouldn't have even mentioned this. it's
another tangent.
Seven other things that I need to
episodes.
explain. And there are also things that I don't know that much about.
You know, it's also like in your past now.
Yeah.
But your kids are going to go through this. Like they'll be experiencing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Quinn, they had a Christian episode versus homecoming episode crossover. I went to a Church of Christ high school. We were never allowed to have an actual homecoming dance due to beliefs that dancing leads to indecency or the flesh rather than the spirit. Instead, we had a big competition with each class for things like skits, an artistic banner, posters, and of course, a synchronized dance performed by each class in front of the entire school, which is so good. We always found it strange and hypocritical. We also had to sing a cappella in school assemblies due to beliefs that instruments had no place in worship. I would be very interested around an episode exploring the different versions of Christianity in America next year.
We're Christianed out for a little bit.
Hannah wrote in incredibly passionately about marching band and just how complex it is. So I'm going to chase up with them for a separate marching band thing.
Yeah, I mean, marching bands are a big thing, especially when you get to big colleges.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Blair wrote in. I laughed out loud when you mentioned cotillion and couldn't get my computer quick enough to write this email. I was nannying for a family whose kids just did their first cotillion in San Diego, the exact same place I attended cotillion almost 20 years earlier. Instant flashback, sweaty palms and white satin gloves, clutching my dance partner's limp hands, thinking maybe I should just take the lead if this kid keeps stepping on my new Mary Janes. Girls wore modest dresses, stockings, and white-fingered gloves. Boys had suits and ties. Watching the kids now, I realize nothing has changed since I went. Partner dances like the cha-cha, waltz, and foxtrot, group dances like the bunny hop and hokey pokey, and the same sweet, well-spoken host. I did a little research and found out that the host has been director of the cotillion I went to since 1996.
Oh, it's a cotillion episode.
Absolutely. Emmeline wrote in saying, generally, it's a super southern thing. Savannah, Georgia is where she recommends we look into. She also said, on a completely different note, barn dances are also important.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with them?
No. But
It's
the words
okay.
together make sense.
I live in North Carolina now and recently attended one at an old dairy farm. I feel like we're in a children's novel.
I mean, it's like Sinners, right? That's
It's like
a barn
Sinners.
dance.
It's a barn dance.
But I think
It went badly in Sinners.
different one.
We were surrounded by pastures of cows, dancing to a live bluegrass band with a caller giving us dancing directions. Again, I might as well be reading from Lord of the Rings, you know? It's a blast and an important part of America's lives in rural areas. There's a potluck dinner before, and everyone brings their own coolers of beers to share. Exceptional vibes. Aaron commented on Hayden's comment that his life got put awry because he was put 40 a year in school.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron said, I started school a year early and it ruined my life as well.
There's a Malcolm Gladwell thing about that too, where based on where you're placed in school, if you're like older for your class, just the confidence that comes with that ends up resulting.
So he agrees with this?
But it's the opposite. Yes, it ruined Hayden's life is what it sounds like. And
Aaron said I was younger than most, smaller than most physically and emotionally. I even celebrated my birthday on the 3rd for a couple of years until I decided I was a big girl and went back to the 23rd.
Yeah, so Malcolm Gladwell has a theory on the reverse.
Right.
When you're older,
you will like
it
dominate.
results in more confidence because you're taller, you're stronger.
That makes sense. And a really sweet one from Matt to finish on. My mum was the homecoming queen runner-up at the high school she attended. She's now 83 years old and struggling with Alzheimer's, but she still remembers that experience. It has always been a great source of pride for her, which is pretty friggin' adorable.
That is.
Okay, so when are we train hopping? 2026?
Yeah, 2026.
A little way to get the year off. We just take a week off. We train hop to New York City.
New York? That in a week?
How long would it take?
That's
Longer?
a long way.
A month.
We go to like Colorado.
We'll come back with stories for Flightless Bird.
Yeah.
A few bruises. You might have like lost a hand.
Yeah.
I would have like broken an ankle. Any feedback? Flightlessbirdchat@gmail.com.
Is this for on-air gifts? The bag?
Oh, Rob, I almost forgot.
What is this bag that you've brought into the studio?
So this
David?
relates to homecoming. You remember I went to Ontario High?
Did this bird bag come from you? Or?
So this bird bag is from New Zealand.
Okay.
Our local grocery store gave these out.
Ah.
This is a budgerigar. This actually reminds me of my first budgie that I ever had, Roger. Beautiful bird.
What's the name of the grocery store?
It's Countdown.
Is it on the side there?
No, I think it's the artist, Pete, someone. Yeah, I think it's Countdown.
Countdown.
So at the homecoming, they gave me this crown.
Oh, great. Yes.
Which you can...
I think you should wear it.
Wear that. A bit sweaty in here. This was a football, Ontario High. Wow. This is for you and the kids.
Oh, it's
they
for
gave
me.
those to you. Another one. So that's from Ontario High. And
heavy. Okay, David, catch.
Oh God, it's like my panic. Jesus. So yeah, go Ontario High. Thanks for bringing us to homecoming. And yeah, this is, I believe, the homecoming king's crown.
Oh, that's the crown.
That's the crown right now.
You took it from him.
I took it. I took it right. I went to a high school student and I wrestled it from him, and I said, "I'm taking this thing." And my head is so big it barely fits on my head. And there was some.
Made for children.
Keychains as well. So I just wanted to give those to you. Any feedback? Flightlessbirdchat@gmail.com.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.